Ready?
Yeah.
Hey, this is Brian from Syrup and Eggs. We're harvesting walnuts today. We're going to take you through the whole process. Hit the like button, subscribe, and stick around for the video.
Oh, the taste of the fall. Working on a nut moves, trying to crack them all. Oh, nut moves, walnut groove, shells in the glove box, broken shells in my shoes. Oh, sweet moves, walnut blue, every crunch of memory, every nut with you.
Hey, I'm Brian with Syrup and Eggs. I'm here with Mike. We're on an old farm built in the 1860s in the same family. Friends of ours, they were kind enough to let us come pick up some black walnuts. So we're going to get started on that today. So here is what we're going to use. It's a nut roller or nut picker upper. There's several names for it. And it just makes it real nice and easy. You just roll it on the ground, save your back and everything. And then this is a nice quick thing for the emptying. You just slide it down on top of this, everything empties straight into the bucket. So, you know, what used to be kind of time consuming and hard on the body has become pretty easy. So we got a bunch of buckets and we're going to get started. Okay, check out how quick this picks up and how easy this gets. I mean, it's essentially, it's almost effortless. Whoops.
Threw a handful to the lake, watched them sink like secrets we never learned to break.
All right, now the one, when they start getting like this, you see this one right here where all that decay is, like those are the best ones to get. So if you get a situation where everything's turning at the same time, like we might be harvesting a little bit early, but these people offered and they wanted to, you know, it's hard for them to ride the mower over all this. So we're just taking them now and we'll just let them age before we process them. But if they're at a certain amount of decay, that just makes everything a lot easier because it takes a lot of effort to process these husks off of here when they're green like this.
She laughed the way the wind laughs through a hickory tree. Said, still got the hammer, still got the need to eat. We laid the tailgate down, let the starlight do the talking.
All right, well, here we got 3 buckets out of 1 tree. This just happens to be the smallest tree on the property. And that doesn't mean that it's going to be the smallest producer. I've seen this where they can be the biggest producers. But anyway, so that only took about 10 minutes. And that was with all the setup and everything. So, yeah, it makes it pretty easy with these couple tools here.
Go ahead.
All right, we're all finished here. There's plenty of walnuts left, but we don't have the time to process all of these. But like here, if you take a look at this one tree, you know, must have dropped a lot of their stuff a little bit early. These are going to be the easiest ones to process because these husks are going to fall right off. Some of these other ones, like, I mean, that almost looks like a pear, right? That'll take a little bit more effort. But anyway, we're going to go back and start processing these now and see you in a little while.
Working on nut moves, just letting walnuts walk. Oh, nut moves, walnut groove, shells in the moonlight, kernels telling truth.
All right, so we just got back from that old farm and we're going to start processing the black walnuts. Here we have a bucket. We kind of separated. We're going to do a couple different types. We're going to do this stuff, which is, you know, pretty much decayed and should be a lot quicker. and then we're going to try some of the green ones and see what the difference is. After feeling those green husks, they're kind of soft, so they might be almost as easy as this, so we might just process them all right now. Otherwise, we were just going to wait and let them naturally decompose to make our job easier. So we'll start by putting some water in. We filled the bucket about halfway, and we're going to put the water in, and then we're going to use this drill with like a paddle bit to agitate and break all that stuff off. Now, I would suggest using, a corded drill, a corded like right angle drill, or actually a 1/2 inch drill, but these are pretty easy to work, and they got, a tremendous amount of power so that we can break this stuff up pretty easily and quickly without putting a lot of wear on the tool. It's kind of made for stuff like this.
Now I wake up smiling,
Okay.
with a walnut on my chest. Dreamed I heard a laugh in the harvest moon's caress. Ain't no point in wondering if the years were kinda cruel. I still taste the apple every time I play the fool. So here's to the nights that never quite let go, to the crunch beneath the bleachers. Girl, I'll never know.
Pour it out and see what happens. We have these things to kind of keep the walnuts from rolling away. We're a little bit on a hill, and then the other stuff can just get through. As you can see, like with my pants, like these will not come out. This stains pretty good, and also will stain your hands too. So you can see right now it took like 90% of the husks off, maybe even more. But it was such a dark liquid that I couldn't even tell if we were down to this. I probably could have stopped sooner. So then we'll just get the nut roller and pick them all up and put them back in. And we're going to mix them up again. That was just to get the bulk of it off. And then once you have most of the pulp off, it's not the paddle that's doing the work. The paddle's just moving them. But if you look at the texture and the hardness of these, they're just banging against each other, and that's what's doing all the work. It's not the paddle's just moving them. Okay, so that's the second run through. Um, I mean, really only like a minute, 2 minutes each time we did that run through, but it does look like that one right there is not cleaning up. So we can eliminate this one. There's nothing in there. All right, we'll pick them up and we'll put them back in there and we'll put some water in. And then if these are clean enough, we'll be able to tell if the husks are far enough off. Hopefully we don't have to let them dry anymore. All right, so step over here real quick and I'll just show you something before we continue. So like the bad ones float. So this is how you test it. And then look at how clean that water is. Like you can tell how clean we've gotten these, because last time we put them in, it turned black immediately, right? Because there was still a lot of pulp stuck into these grooves and everything. So these two are no good. So that'll save you the trouble of breaking them open. Because these things aren't easy to break. So if you have, I have an English walnut tree in my yard, and then behind my house, over one, there's a black walnut, and the black walnuts just stay there. The squirrels don't go near them when they have access to the other one, because those are a lot easier to crack. And we'll take you downstairs and show you, once these are dry, what it takes to crack them, because it takes a whole lot more pressure to crack the black walnuts than it does the English walnuts. And so even the squirrels know that, and they're just like what everybody does, try to get, you know, not as much work if you don't have to. Okay, so now look, we've got another 6 floating. So out of that, we lost 8. Actually, these have a little bit of husk still on them, so that could be what's causing them to float. We'll put these in the next batch. Now we're going to do this second bucket. A lot of it still has a lot of the husk on. I threw those other ones from the previous mix in there that still had some husk stuck to them. So we'll see how these react to the agitation, and whether we're going to process the other, you know, the entire 5 buckets, or if we're going to just set them out and let them dry a little bit. Maybe hit them in another week or so. I don't know exactly what you heard from the last time I was doing this, but if you couldn't hear over the drill, what I'm going to do here is, like, the paddle does not do all of the breaking off of the husks. What you do is you get everything moving, and the walnuts, their texture and their hardness, they just bang around each other and start breaking the husks off. So the drill is just getting everything moving. Now you'll be tempted to stop the drill and get everything to stop again, or try to switch, or all you have to really do is just change the angle of this, and then it starts putting this action where the walnuts are coming up and down, instead of just, as you watch, like Mike will show you, he'll come in close, and as this is spinning, it's just going to look like they're not doing anything. So then all you have to do is just angle this a little bit and get things moving a little bit. So here we go. Like, it's surprising, like when it was spinning, all you could see was those larger ones at the top, and it looked like maybe there wasn't a whole lot getting done, like that the husks were too thick. But as soon as that paddle fell out of the drill and it stopped, like we have it looks like a lot that are stripped down pretty well. I'd maybe say 70% of them are stripped down pretty decently, but it didn't look like that while it was still moving. So obviously some of these are resisting the impact, like they're just too fresh. So probably what we'll do is we'll just set these things aside, maybe lay them out and let them dry out and decay a little bit before we put all the effort in. But we'll pick up these ones and process them just like we did the others. All right, so this second batch, right? We just did it twice and put it back in the clean water, and we have many more floaters. We already picked up like 5 that we saw husks on and stuff, right? And I see husk on this. I don't necessarily can determine all of these. So rather than give up on this whole bunch that's floating, since this was a less ripe group, I think we're just going to put all the floaters into the other ones that we're going to let sit and give these a chance to get rid of all the extra husk that didn't get broken off of, because that would be a lot of waste here. So these will just go in with the other piles since they haven't been, cleaned as much because it was taking too much trouble. So there we go. Not a whole lot of effort so far, if you let nature do most of it and you have the right tools. We've got maybe about a half an hour of picking walnuts up, and we got 5 buckets. Now those will just have to wait and deteriorate themselves before we can do it. And then, we probably got about a half an hour of doing this setup and everything, and now it'll just naturally dry. We'll hang it up and it'll dry for a couple weeks, and then the other part will be the cracking, which does take some effort because these things, like I said, are pretty hard shell. You have to get an extra long handle to get the leverage on it. You can't use a regular nut cracker. You just can't do it. Okay, so we'll take them down and set them up now. Okay, so these are dried black walnuts that we did last year. We're going to crack them today to show you what's going to happen 2 weeks after we dry the ones that we're going to put in there today. And then these are the English walnuts, the ones that most people are familiar with that you can buy at the store. But these are much easier to crack, and these ones take a lot of effort. So and these baskets I just made out of hardware cloth and just wired them up in different fashions. And then what I do is I'll show you when we put the fresh ones to hang up. I just put another piece of wire and I just hang them up. And then you can put a fan on them to dry them quicker, or you can just let them air dry. Okay, let me get those other ones and we'll get set up. All right, so these were the ones we just freshly took the husks off. So we'll just pour them in here and hang them up. Try to get as much air between them as you can, and you can also move them around every couple of days if you like, or make another basket, or I could empty one of these and spread them out further. Okay, in the regular place that I've hung a lot of other ones, I already have wires over here. And there you go. You can direct a fan on them if you like, or if you got time, you can just let them sit. So now we're going to break the black walnuts open, and just to show you, I mean, everybody's familiar with the little hand nut cracker that can do these. Like you could never do with that. This is a 21-inch handle to give you the leverage to break these things open. All right, so now I don't know if you could tell just by the pressure, you know, by visually about the amount of pressure that I had used for that. It's nice to have one of these nearby to cut some of that stuff away. But they come out real nice. And I guess the other thing is that once you get used to, say, the structure or maybe the anatomy of the walnut shells and how they go together, you'll find you'll get better at it. And like, it's been a year for me, so I probably could have done this with, you know, several fewer snips to get the weak parts to open up for me. I mean, you can see it in here. I just can't free it up just yet, but that's a whole quarter right there. So just for these purposes, you know, I did that and then I cut it open, but you would probably just go through all of this action first and then do all of your others. Now, if you can see the amount of pressure it took to get that, and then you get these freed up, and that one I crushed it a little farther, but you know, I lost pieces of the ends. But that would be a much quicker way if you wanted. Now, just for example, like this is way overkill on this. Like that's it. But they come out so nicely. Like, look at this. You can get these out as a whole if you know. Oh, okay, so it's split. Now it's in halves. But then you just pull this thing out of here and you can have a hole and it looks like a brain. Like, I've got many like this. Well, look at how easy that is for the English walnuts, the kind that you buy. But like, so I'll try this one. I've never tried this nutcracker before, but like, look at the difference in the leverage action here. I'll do an English walnut with this and it should be, you know, relatively easy, but I wouldn't even attempt a black walnut with that. So this year we had, I'm going to say, thousands on our tree again. And, you know, they're not ready for harvest until about September. And the squirrels had taken every one of them, even the ones that went on the ground, which sometimes they reject. Before, I didn't get a single walnut. So there. So that's the difference. Like, and the flavor. These have kind of, it's hard to explain unless you've experienced it, but they kind of have like a fruity flavor, kind of sweet, you know, where these are kind of bland, although they do make things you put them in taste great. But these have kind of their own flavor. In fact, when you make cookies with them, sometimes the cookies are even too sweet. So that's about it.
Now I wake up smiling with a walnut on my chest. Dreamed I heard her laughing in a harvest moon's caress. Ain't no point in wondering if the years were kinda cruel. I still taste the autumn every time I play the fool. So here's to the nights walnuts never lie.